Wow, there's so many hype things in this chapter, from Shanks revealing his true colors to a big Blackbeard twist and even a Luffy and Straw Hat twist in the end. That's crazy, so make sure to stay tuned for this epic chapter. Chill the Pirate King within and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing One Piece reviews like this one and want to keep them coming. Make this the video you join the Nakama if you haven't already by subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss future One Piece reviews and updates. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it. Spoilers and all. This chapter is titled Compensation, and that simple title will have dire consequences in this chapter, as we'll see. We also get another Yamato cover story mystery as Yamato is eating soba in curry, and the girl in the soba shop tells Yamato her workmates have disappeared. So we can look forward to that mystery being solved in subsequent cover stories. You gotta love that even the cover stories have cliffhangers. So the chapter itself starts on the Elbaf ship, where the Straw Hat crew, the Giants, and everyone continue with the party and celebrations. Now this is a big chapter since we finally don't have moments at Egghead. We are officially full steam ahead into this new arc, and it does not disappoint. It is at this point that Oimo and Kashi explain that after what happened in Water 7 2 years ago, they went to Little Garden to greet Dory and Bragi. Not surprisingly, they found them punching each other because their weapons were destroyed after using Hakoku to defeat the Island Eater. Oimo and Kashi are the ones who realize that Dory and Bragi can never finish their fight to the death without weapons, so they convince their bosses to come back to Elbaf and get new weapons first before continuing their fight. So yeah, if you were hoping they moved past the duel, you'll be disappointed. Nami even asks point blank if they will continue their duel, while Dory and Bragi say most definitely. Nami responds, "I can't, ... end quote. While Usopp responds, "Hey, Nami, didn't you learn anything from Little Garden?" And Luffy says, "You tell her, Usopp." But hopefully the fight hiatus will be good. They already helped out Shanks together and then Luffy, both times were epic. And they'll be starring in this arc too, so hopefully they'll be prioritizing this final war over their individual fight. They can always go back to the duel afterwards, but at this point, seeing how long the duel has gone on for, I'm seeing the duel as more of a pastime for them, like two old friends playing chess with each other every day. Sanji chimes in saying that the alcohol they are drinking is pretty strong. One giant tells him it's an absinthe called Green Fairy and they must be careful because it even causes hallucinations. Now remember that part for later because some crazy stuff is definitely gonna happen. We'll see if they're hallucinations or not. We now get one of my favorite moments in the chapter, although there are a lot coming up too. Here we got Bonnie sitting on Kuma's lap and we can see a little smile on Kuma's face. Bonnie says lovingly, "Now we can finally watch the horizon together, Daddy." And this is such a big payoff after all the tragedies Kuma and Bonnie have been through and after Saturn having lost his existence last chapter too. She finally gets to experience some of that childhood that seemed to have been stolen from her forever by Saturn. And after all the Sapphire Scale stuff and not being able to be in the sun at all and the treatment and all, to be able to finally enjoy the outdoors and the sun with Kuma is just a beautiful payoff. Even Kuma's little smile is so powerful after everything he's been through. Just can't overemphasize how much I appreciate this moment in the context of what they had to go through. Now we get the epic action, not to mention the Shanks section of the chapter. We cut to Galter Island, the island where 1 month ago Bartolomeo burned Shanks' flag in the cover story. Oh man, what a terrible, terrible idea. Bartolomeo was beaten up by the red hair pirates and now he's tied up and kneeling before Shanks. I think we all saw this coming, but it's funny how someone started beef with Shanks in Luffy's name, considering how good of a relationship the two have in reality. I think we all consider Shanks to be a good guy, but you get where he's coming from when he says that if he forgives Bartolomeo for this, the power of the red hair pirate's flag would drop. In other words, the Shanks share price would plummet. They gotta make sure people respect the Shanks brand or all the islands and friends who are protected under that flag will be in danger. Bartolomeo apologizes to him in tears. One does not simply mess with Shanks, and this is why. First kid and now this, just waiting for Blackbeard to do something like this to Shanks, but more on him later. Bartolomeo says, "You're absolutely right. I'm really sorry. I didn't even think of that. I just went ahead and did something stupid out of ignorance." Now for the time being, Bartolomeo looks pretty pathetic. He started the beef and now he's begging for mercy. Thankfully, he will redeem himself soon enough, as we'll see. Doctor of the Red Hair Pirates, Hongo, gives Bartolomeo a little bottle. Hongo says, and I quote, "This is a very deadly poison. You have 1 month to make Straw Hat Luffy drink it." and the plot thickens. Now, not only does Bartolomeo have to make a decision here that will show his true character, Shanks seems to be showing his true character as well. He's willing to kill Luffy secretly rather than in a fair fight after everything they've been through. Now, to be fair, you might smell something is off already, but nonetheless, props to Oda for crafting such an interesting moment in this chapter. Bartolomeo responds simply with one word, "What?" in disbelief. Hongo explains whoever drinks it will die from immense pain with blood bursting out of their body. Your body must take the responsibility of what you did. So not only will the target pass away, but it won't be peacefully either. It will be super painful and horrific. If the point was getting rid of Luffy, the pain wouldn't be necessary, but it will make what Bartolomeo is about to do all the more impressive and honorable. The Barto Club pirates say that's too cruel. Luffy and the other senpais have nothing to do with this. Suddenly, our boy, Bartolomeo, grabs the bottle of poison with his mouth and drinks it himself. That's right, despite groveling, he's willing to die a painful death to spare Luffy. He just solidified his position as a great guy here, if not a smart guy. The Barto Club pirates say, "No boss, you're gonna be covered in blood and die." And Bartolomeo says, "This is how it should be, huff huff." Shanks and Beckman observe the scene next to Hongo while Bartolomeo talks in tears. He says Luffy senpai didn't give us his flag or his brother cup to bear them. We just took them on our own. So it has nothing to do with Luffy senpai. I don't want even a second of senpai's precious time to be wasted on the likes of us. This is just another incident of a scoundrel who foolishly challenged a Yonko and paid the price for it. Hardly newsworthy. Bartolomeo also says that he wanted to see Luffy becoming the Pirate King, but now he won't see it because he's an idiot. Can't argue with that. Now at this point, people might be thinking it's taking quite some time for the poison to kick in. Well, fortunately for Bartolomeo, and for Shanks' character too, what was inside of the bottle was not poison, and Shanks seems to let them go. It seems to be a kind of reward for Bartolomeo's loyalty. As the going Luffy senpai, such an awesome name, sails away from the island at full speed, Bartolomeo tells Gambia he thought Shanks was a terrifying man because of his Yonko status, but now he has discovered that Shanks is very naive. So even Bart knows that, yeah, they should have gotten off worse for what they did, and getting off this easy makes Shanks look bad. We jump to Shanks and we can see that he is smiling in the Red Force. Beckman approaches and asks, "What are you grinning about, boss?" Shanks replies, "It just brings me joy to think that Luffy has someone that cares for him so much." So good guy Shanks for the win after all, despite how the fake poison made him look for a second. Imagine something came up while you were reading this chapter and you had to drop it in the middle and spent the whole day thinking that Shanks is evil AF. But despite how good Shanks may be, his crew knows he can't be a pushover. He can't let his brand and allies suffer. So Usopp's dad, Yasop, appears behind Shanks and Beckman. He aims his rifle at the going Luffy senpai and shows us what he can do. He says, "Alright boss, move out of the way, business is business." And again, making a good point. Yasop then shoots and destroys Bartolomeo's ship in a huge explosion. We can see Luffy's figurehead destroyed. Then the narrator speaks near the coast of Gartel Island. The ship of the Bartolomeo pirates is sunk. Their fate is unknown. So yeah, that makes sense. They couldn't just let them go, but Shanks didn't ensure their death in person, and we know in One Piece it's likely that they survived that shipwreck and will come back again. Plus, props to Oda for showing Yasop's power here and how he can effortlessly take down the entire ship and a crew of a guy with a 200 million berry bounty. It just goes to show the level of insanity of Bart messing with this Yonko crew. As if Shanks wasn't hype enough for one chapter, we jump directly to Blackbeard next. We cut to Hachinosu and Blackbeard has returned and is now in a meeting with his crew. The pirates in Hachinosu are fired up and ready to go after the One Piece would teach. Pizarro is controlling the giant skull that now hilariously enough has some bandages due to the Garp and Kobe attacks. San Juan Wolf is helping with island reconstruction. He's placing buildings to their original locations, but at the same time he's hilariously destroying more buildings because of his size. I love how Oda can even make a crew as terrifying as Blackbeard's hilarious at the same time. Blackbeard is very very angry with Pizarro for letting Kobe and even Moria escape, so Moria is in play now. I wonder how he'll come back into the story. Blackbeard knows Kobe was very important to negotiate with the world government and the Marines, but at the same time now he is very happy because Kuzan managed to capture Garp. That's right, capture Garp. Now for us, we know that Kobe just pulled out insane power and Pizarro couldn't really do anything in that situation, but obviously Blackbeard needs to punish failure whether Pizarro could have done anything about it or not. Blackbeard laughs because of Garp and says, well, isn't that amazing? Pizarro says, see Teach, the value went up. So in other words, the Blackbeard shares went up after that fight and capture of Garp. And yeah, I did mention that before. Having the legend Garp obviously hits harder and is more clickbaity, if you want to call it that, than having the legend in the making Kobe. Kuzan says, to be precise, I intended to kill him, meaning Garp, but he survived. So there's the big twist, Garp survived. Now part of me always knew this is One Piece and there was a possibility. Kuzan's ice finishers are especially notorious for not finishing off people, but still part of me could have seen that being the end considering the ice spike going through Garp and Garp's age and all. Either way, for Blackbeard, Garp probably presents a more valuable bargaining chip alive versus not alive, so he can't complain there. He says, a job well done, Kuzan. I can't think of anyone else who could have gotten him. Kuzan doesn't brag though, he just says, well, it took most of me just to get near. We see that Garp, who is covered in bandages, is tied up with a lot of chains in a dark cell. Pudding is also in the meeting. She's forced to sit on Blackbeard's side, while he says that they even got a three-eyed girl too. This whole Garp stuff though really opens up some interesting possibilities, including a Luffy and Kobe rescue mission, just saying. Then Blackbeard calls Lafitte, who is at the naval company Umit shipping headquarters, and Umit is one of the emperors of the underworld and one of the guests in Big Mom's tea party. Lafitte is observing the Revolutionary Army movements to cut supply to Marijoa. We can see some burning ships in the port. Blackbeard laughs and says, now don't let all of the fun make you forget about the quote-unquote preparation. That sounds like a very hype, meaningful statement right there. Lafitte laughs and says, leave it to me. Meanwhile, Caribou, Katarina Devon, and Augur arrive at Hachinosu. Pizarro grabs the ship with his giant island arm to take them directly to the meeting. A very nice use of that power, to be sure. We then cut to the Elbaf ship and cut to that promised Straw Hat twist, and it is crazy. The narrator says it's been 2 days since they departed Egghead, and there's a reason they still haven't arrived at Elbaf, despite being accompanied by the Great Eric, which is the name of the giant pirate ship. It's then revealed that after everyone woke up from their drunken sleep, the Thousand Sunny, with Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, and Chopper, aka most of the OGs, suddenly disappeared. People who are still present on the Elbaf ship, the Giants, Jinbei, Frankie, Robin, Lilith, Bonnie, and Brooke, are in shock. Dory and Bragi say, we must find them. We can't return to Elbaf like this. Robin, not one filled with positivity at that moment, fears that perhaps they've been reduced to pieces by a fish. Imagine that's how One Piece ended. And Frankie says, stop that. The fish around here are so big that might actually be true. Where did you go, Luffy? He asks. But then we jump to Nami and get some answers, but not exactly clear answers. Nami hears someone telling her to wake up. Maybe it's Luffy, we are told, but we can't see the person in this chapter. The mystery person says, Nami, hey, wake up. Nami says, oof. I think I drank too much. When she wakes up, she finds herself alone in a huge room made with Lego pieces. She's wearing a Viking warrior outfit like in an RPG game, and it could be an Elbaf costume too, like we have futuristic costumes on Egghead. She's carrying a sword on her back. She wonders what's going on while the editor says what we're all thinking. What is this place? A new adventure awaits. So what comes to mind immediately is the mysterious figure marked by flames, who has an all-black ship that swallows anyone who comes near into a vortex. That seeming devil fruit power could have been used on the Straw Hat ship, and we'll finally find out who this mystery man is, and he could also be the same mystery figure in the silhouette a few chapters ago that showed us the key 12 endgame players for the final saga and race to the One Piece. But let me know your thoughts on this chapter and what do you think is happening with the Straw Hats here, besides more awesome cosplay outfits for Nami. If you did enjoy this Yonko heavy chapter, you don't want to miss my video on all the Yonko explained, link on screen right now. Like and subscribe for more, especially since there is no break next week, and I'll see you in the next one.